I'm in Balibo, and while I could stay longer, it's almost time to go. We have been here for the last 2 days, riding, taking photos and reminiscing about when we had been here 20 years earlier. But now, the last thing we have planned before we leave is a chat with a local tour operator named Mario from Balibo Trails.
We have 8 spots to visit in Balibo. Maybe walking tour in Balibo town.
Yep.
And maybe the first Balibo, Fort Balibo, and then museum and gallery.
Balibo Trails is a co-op, a group of local guides that create and operate fully guided walking, hiking and cycling tours around the Balibo area. And Balibo Trails isn't that old either. The idea came from the Balibo House Trust after they were successful in receiving a friendship grant from Australia in 2019. After we said goodbye to Mario, it was time to load up the bikes and head down to Maliana. We were planning to stay there the night, we just didn't know where yet. The road from Balibo down the hill was good, but a bit rough from Tonabibi to Maliana. Once we arrived in Maliana, we got a feed from the Restaurante Maliana on the main street near the playing fields. That afternoon we visited the shops in town to get some stores, spoke to some of the kids and locals on the street, got recommendations for somewhere to stay that night, and after we'd refuelled the bikes, we rode out of town to the airport to a cafe, not a rahan, where we tracked down a beer. And finally, we had some barbecue chicken off the side of the road on our way back into town. We were going to call it a night. We knew that it was going to be a big day the next day.
Roadside kebabs. Chicken. What's the verdict, man? Good?
Yep, good.
Yeah. Diaklos.
Setting off on day 5, we had planned to travel from Maliana through Bobonaro and finish the day in Hato Builico. After we spent the morning above Maliana, finding and paying our respects at the memorial of Corporal Stuart Monster Jones, we decided, due to running low on time, that day we would stick to the good roads and head down out of the mountains to Suai, where we would stay that night. We weren't worried about staying at Monsters Memorial longer than expected. Ben and I found it important to document this part of the trip after we had learnt that not too many Aussies had visited the site for a while. A Cav reconnaissance soldier like Ben, Stuart had lost his life on the 9th of August 2000 while serving his country and assisting the Timor-Leste people bring the peace and stability to their country that we were experiencing today. We were happy to stay and talk to the locals at the small village in the mountains, with one older fellow telling us what he remembered of the day. It was quite moving for Ben and I. After Monsters Memorial, we headed down through Bobonaro and on our way to Suai. So we stayed in Maliana last night and we're on our way over the saddle here through the mountains to Bobonaro, and we'll be down there this afternoon. We're going to stop at the hot springs. We've just stopped coming over the saddle and speaking to a few of the villagers, and they're telling me that this is Mount Rumalao here in the background. It's the highest mountain in Timor, and I'm planning to have a crack at walking up onto the summit in the next few days. So she's looking pretty high off in the distance. It's a good day though, and I'm hoping that when I get to the summit in a few days there won't be too much cloud. Be good.
Bobonaro!
So we're down in Suai. We had a interesting hotel last night. Little bit dodgy, but slept okay. It was hot, pretty hot down here on the coast in Suai. Got a few spots we want to stop and check out on the way out of Suai, but we're nearly packed up. We're not off to a flying start this morning. I think it's about 8 o'clock, but that's not too bad. We're not in a rush today. We should have plenty of time to get where we're going. Today we were heading to Hato Builico. I wanted to spend the night there so that I was ready to go for my walk tomorrow. After not much sleep due to the heat and noise, we were glad to depart the guest house in Suai. I have been excited all trip about hiking in the mountains around Mount Ramelau, so I was happy to be heading back towards them. But before we left Suai, we wanted to visit the Kiwi Memorial. It was erected here in honour of the New Zealanders that has served. Following that, it was back onto the epic Suai motorway for the trip down to Zumalai. As we left Zumalai on the coast and climbed into the mountains, we enjoyed the drop in temperature. We went from sea level to 2,000 metres above in just one day. The riding was good. Everything from 4-lane freeway, winding mountain roads, rough tracks and single trail. And after a close call with near-empty fuel tanks, we arrived into Hato Builico late in the day. We asked the locals at the shop when we were refuelling if there were any local accommodation in the area, and they directed us to a good guest house. It was quiet and comfortable, and just the place to get a good night's rest before climbing the mountain tomorrow. I was looking forward to the walk on Mount Ramalao.